Alrighty guys, so welcome to today's episode of Ask Jungle Scout, episode number 6. I'm your host Lenny, and I'm going to be answering your top FBA questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with some pre-submitted questions that have come to the team via YouTube and elsewhere. Following that, I'm going to jump into the chat box and answer your questions. So if you have any questions for me, make sure to drop them in the chat box now so that I can answer them very shortly. All right, so let's kick things off. I'm going to go to my pre-submitted questions. And the first one is from JA. And this one is, I just wanted to know, why did you use your own name after the company name? Isn't your LLC a separate legal entity, or do you file your taxes by using the same format? So I need to give some context as to where this question came from. We have a video on YouTube where I'm explaining, it's a Seller Central tutorial about how to set up your account. And within that video, when it gets to the part of putting in your legal name, I'm explaining that there are two things you can do. If you're going to sell as an individual, you can put in your name, or if you're going to sell as a company, you can put in your company name. I then go on to mention that you should put in your company, if you're going to put in your company name, to put a dash and to then put your personal name after that. So the question is asking me, why did I add my personal name to the company name? And the answer really comes down to Amazon said so. So in this next image here, you'll see that this is a little tooltip from Amazon where they are actually saying if you're registering as a business, enter the business's registered name and your full name. And they give a little example there. So I don't know for certain why they've asked to do that. I suspect that it wouldn't matter if you just put your company name without your sort of individual name as well, but that's what I was referencing in the video, is just kind of following suit from what Amazon has suggested there. So hopefully that also helps out anyone that's at that stage of creating an account for Seller Central. Just as a quick recap, you can set it up again two ways. You can either sell as an individual or you can sell as a legal entity. And we've got that whole video which you can check out on YouTube if you want to learn more about that. All right, whoa, I'm skipping ahead here. So let's go to the next question. And this one comes from Instagram from Vanessa. Thanks for replying to our little Instagram story yesterday. And the question was simply how to get more reviews. So this is always kind of a hot topic. Everyone, wants to know how to get reviews. And I'll be honest, it is pretty tricky. It's not as easy as it once was to get reviews. There really isn't one clear set way to get reviews today. It really is just a combination of various things, still using tried and true methods that have always worked. So for instance, using promotional giveaways. We've got a tool like that within Jungle Scout. We've got a whole bunch of shoppers on a site called JumpSend where they're looking to get discounted deals, and essentially you apply a steep discount to a number of your products, and that incentivizes, or that's lots of people are out there looking for deals, and that essentially will increase your sales velocity. So that is one way to do it. There is a lot of talk about how effective or ineffective they are today. From what we've found, they still are effective. They certainly aren't as effective as they used to be, so I wouldn't rely on promotional giveaways by themselves. I would couple that with other strategies such as PPC. I think that one will always be really good, no matter what. I highly recommend PPC for when you're launching a product, but then also throughout the lifetime of your product. But certainly when it comes to getting reviews, PPC will really help. Essentially, if you want to get more reviews, you just need to get lots of sales, okay? The more sales you get, inevitably, the more reviews you will get. What else is there? Again, when it comes to getting more sales, firstly, you can use Amazon coupons. That's just another way to discount your listing, and that happens directly on Amazon, and it gives you on the search page, it has like a little green discount box where it says save $2 or whatever the discount is, and that entices people to buy it. So again, the more that you can get sales, the more reviews you'll get ultimately. That being said, when you're promoting lots of sales, another great thing to do is to make sure you've got email campaigns turned on. Again, that's one of the features inside of Jungle Scout, that we can automatically follow up every customer that purchases from you with an email, providing great customer service and also gently nudging them to leave a review, okay? Another method that you could try is using insert cards inside of the product itself, okay? And so with this, you do need to be careful about how you ask for a review. There are certain things that you can and can't say. To keep it simple, you can essentially, probably the best thing to do is just to ask for an honest review, okay? You can't say things like, give me an honest review if you liked this product, or you certainly can't incentivize them in any way, but you do need to be careful about what you say. However, you can still ask for a review. If you just keep it very short and simple, just saying, you can leave me an honest review here, and it's not sort of discriminating against any one group, then that seems to be okay. So those are, I guess, kind of a handful of different ways that you can get reviews and sales. So hopefully that helps. If anyone has any additional strategies that have been useful to them, then make sure to drop them in the chat box here and kind of share the love. All right, next question is from Hamlet Xavier. Greg, do you recommend any inspection companies to inspect for quality control before the products leave the factory in China? That's a really great question. So the main inspection company that we have used at Jungle Scout for our Jungle Scout products it's now called, I'm not sure how to pronounce it actually, Qima, but Q-I-M-A, formerly known as Asia Inspections. And so we've used them before, or multiple times now, I believe, with all of our Jungle Scout products, and they've been really, really good. They're very, very thorough. They send you through a report that's got lots of images, and it's kind of got all the details of the report, of the inspection, the time that they did it, all the things that they tested, and we just found it to be a really thorough resource that has a lot of photos. So it gives you a lot of confidence that they did a thorough check. So those are good. Other ones that have been recommended by various members on the team or people that we've talked to, there's VTrust, there's one called Topwin, I think there's another one called UL. I'm not sure how the actual name for that, but it's UL. And those are from various recommendations that we've had as well. So those are a number of inspection companies that you could consider. All right, next question is from Micah, who says, hi, hope all is well. I was wondering how you were finding products with decent potential, a score of 7 to 8, so easily. I've been with the same filters looking for more than 3 hours, and I mostly get no data available or 3 to 4 scores, and I'm using your paid app. So what they're referring to here is the opportunity score, which is inside of Jungle Scout. So if you haven't seen that before, essentially on Chrome extension, when you perform a search, we give you, or when you run that on a particular keyword, we give you a score in the top right corner out of 10. It's called an opportunity score, and it's essentially how good is that opportunity. Generally speaking, or the higher the number, the better. So a 10 is an amazing opportunity and 1 is a poor opportunity. As a general rule of thumb, I'd say you wouldn't want to go less than, say, a 5. Anywhere from probably 6 and up is what I would look at. I'd also say that the opportunity score is just a starting point, okay? That's not the one and only metric I would look at. So there might be times that a 5 might be okay if you dig a little bit deeper and then look a little bit more specifically into the listings themselves, seeing how much demand and how much competition they have. Again, it's just meant to give you a first impression, kind of a really quick idea of how that niche is, okay? But to answer the question, this was, I think, for one of Greg's webinars where he was showing some product research, and the question was saying, how are you finding products so easily? I wanted to answer this question because essentially it's not easy. When we do these presentations in our webinars and in our training, we're wanting to kind of show you how to use our tools and how to perform product research. You know, we don't want to make you sit through hours and hours of us doing product research to kind of teach you. So we kind of show you the methodology in as short a period time as possible. So we don't ever want to make it seem like it's really, really easy. We definitely think it's a lot easier with the Jungle Scout tools. That's been our aim, is to make it easier for you. But in reality, it does take a long time. So in this example, Micah has said that they've spent more than 3 hours. It's very, very typical to take much longer than that. You could be lucky and find a great product within 3 hours, but it can take days. Sometimes it can take weeks. It really depends, but essentially, it does take a lot of time. It's certainly not the easiest thing. It does just take time, but it is very important to put in that time because this is the make or break point of your business. Your entire business comes down to the products you choose. So it's time well spent. On to the next question. Let's see. Next question's from Xavier. Hi JS, cool new function. This is only my second month selling on Amazon and we got hit with a big curveball. AMZ warehouse costs. How can these be set in the new functionality within JS? Are warehouse costs downloaded automatically? If yes, how are they distributed among each unit and product? Great question. So this is referring to the launch of our sales analytics tool within Jungle Scout a couple of weeks back. And Xavier's asking about monthly like inventory fees and so forth within Seller Central. Currently, I believe we don't pull those in, but we will be supporting that very soon. So we will be able to bring all of those fees into Sales Analytics so that you can have a complete idea of all your expenses and all of your income. So stay tuned for that one. That will be coming very, very soon. All right, so the next question is from Sargis, who says, hello, would you please explain what is a reverse ASIN search? Is there any video tutorial? Thanks. Great question. So this was referring to a video on Keyword Scout, our Jungle Scout keyword research tool. So let me kind of show you what that looks like here. So Sargis was asking, what is a reverse ASIN search? This is what it looks like here, okay? So firstly, for those that don't know, an ASIN is just a unique identifier that Amazon gives to every product on Amazon.com, okay? And this is what one of them looks like up the top. So essentially, it's just tied to a specific listing. Now, what you can do within Keyword Scout is that you can type in the name of a product, you could type in marshmallow sticks or baby hooded towel, whatever else, and it will give you all the most relevant keywords to that. Or you can perform a reverse ASIN search. Essentially what that means is you put in an ASIN, you put in someone's specific listing, for example, a competitor's listing, and then it shows you all the top keywords that they rank for, okay? So for this particular listing, so it's an Amazon Basics 2-door top load pet kennel. That was kind of a mouthful. But these are all the top keywords that they are ranking for, okay? So think about it this way. These are the keywords that people are typing into Amazon, and these are the keywords that help this listing get discovered, okay? So people are typing in all sorts of things. So cat litter, cat carrier. Cat carrier makes sense, but people are even finding them by typing in cat litter, and they must be then clicking onto this listing. So this is a really great way to find out what search terms are working for your competitors. This is what I would do if I was considering to sell this pet kennel as well. I could put in the ASIN for one of my competitors, and then this would help me determine what to name my product, because they've called it a pet kennel, for instance. But it looks like they would probably get a lot more traffic if they called it either a cat carrier or a dog cage. I guess they don't want to specify it as one or the other. I guess they want it to be a little bit more universal. But this just gives you an idea of, what people are actually searching for, because you could have one idea in your mind versus this tells you exactly what people are searching for. And the idea would be to use some of these highly searched for keywords in your title. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what a reverse ASIN search is. All right, guys, so that brings us to the end of the pre-submitted questions. One little note just before I jump into the live chat is that we're in the middle of 8 weeks of webinars launching brand new features every single week. So every Tuesday, we're launching a brand new feature inside of Jungle Scout. So I want to invite you guys to join us next week for our brand new live webinar. And here is a quick sneak peek.
Jungle Scout's just getting better and better. We started off with just product research, then we added keyword research into sourcing, launch functionality, and now we're releasing brand new features every single week for 8 weeks. I know, it's pretty crazy, right? I hope to see you inside of the launch webinar so you can see it for yourself.
Alrighty, guys. I hope that gets you excited. Again, we're launching a whole bunch of new features here at Jungle Scout. It's a very exciting time for us, and we can't wait to share the next new one with you. So make sure to join Greg's live webinar next Tuesday. All right, now I'm gonna jump into the chat box and answer your questions. So again, if you have any questions for me, make sure to drop them in the chat box. All right. Okay, so let's see. Question from Format 1998. Hey Lenny, I have a question. Excellent. So I plan on launching a product with 10 different variations. With my PPC campaign, I have a monthly budget of about 3K. What would be your strategy with this limit? That's a really great question. There's probably a lot of things you can do. Generally speaking, what we often talk about is when you first launch a product, it's a good idea to start automatic campaigns. So this is essentially Amazon will pick the keywords that they think are best for your product, and what you can then do, you just kind of set the bid amount and the budget, and Amazon will kind of pick the keywords for you. This, is a very quick and easy way to get started, but what it also does is it essentially kind of mines some data for you. We'd recommend kind of leaving that for, let's say, a week. Then what you can do is download something called a search term report. Within that, it tells you all the keywords that Amazon has been displaying your product under. And so from that, you can get the information such as, okay, which keywords that people have been searching for, which ones have gotten the most clicks and the most sales, essentially which ones have been the most successful. From there, you can then take those most successful ones and put them into a manual campaign. So that is a really great thing to do when you launch any product, whether it be 1 or 10. The other advantage of running automatic campaigns is it also will tell you whether you've got the right keywords inside of your listing, whether you've optimized it well. Because if you go into that search term report and there's all these search terms that Amazon's been displaying you under and they're not related to your product, then that would tell me that Amazon is confused about what your product is. You might be in the wrong category, and basically, you're just giving Amazon the wrong message about what your product is. So it's going to be harder for you to rank and advertise on your, on the keywords that are relevant for you. So I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but essentially there are a lot of benefits to running automatic campaigns, okay? Then if you are launching that many variations, generally speaking, I think particularly if this is your first product, then 10 different variations is quite a lot. It can be difficult to manage that many variations because you don't know which ones are going to sell, and then they're all selling at different amounts, and you have to try to keep all of them in stock. One starts to be going down, and then you've got too much stock of another one. It can be a little bit of a nightmare to manage from that point of view. So maybe what you could do is essentially split your budget amongst those 10 variations and give it, say, the first month or so, and start to see which ones are performing well, see which variations are converting and getting the most sales, and then maybe it might be worth evaluating or reevaluating and kind of going, okay, I'm gonna pick the top 3, 4, 5 variations, or whatever the case may be, the top performing variations, and when these other ones run out of stock, I'm gonna let them run out of stock, but this experiment has told me which ones are the most successful. In terms of your strategy, I'm trying to think what other advice I could kind of give you. I'd say if you're splitting that amongst that many products, I'd perhaps limit the number of keywords that you have per campaign. It can be tempting to drop in like several hundred keywords or even 100 and so forth. You might be better off just putting in maybe a maximum of, say, 30 keywords per campaign, because essentially if you imagine you're running a broad match campaign, you're not just targeting those 30 keywords that you put in there. It's also going to be testing with every single one of those. It's going to be testing lots of different variants as well. So for instance, if it's marshmallow sticks as your keyword, it's the broad in a broad match campaign. It's also going to be targeting bamboo marshmallow sticks or roasting marshmallow sticks, and it's going to be targeting all these variations of that one keyword. So we've done some experiments and found that limiting the number of keywords that you have in a campaign can actually have better results, because even if you have 100 keywords or more, the budget usually runs out well before it gets to test all of those out. So you might actually get better results with smaller numbers of keywords. I don't know, hopefully a couple of those thoughts of mine help you out. We do have some more additional videos on PPC on our YouTube channel. If you go to the $1 Million Case Study playlist, we've got a variety of videos there on PPC. But if you do have any further follow-up questions from anything I've just said, just drop it into the chat box and I'll do my best to answer. All right. Let's see what questions I got. Okay, so there's a question from RSA. Where do I find the search term report? So essentially, I'm trying to remember what it's called on Seller Central, but it's fairly straightforward. If you go to it's in, it's under, there's basically a reports menu, and then you go to advertising reports, and then you can click and download search term reports. So yeah, go to your reports menu and then advertising reports. Jeff has a question. Any suggestions on using Facebook or Pinterest for marketing and advertising? That's a great question. To be honest, I don't have any recommendations for this. This isn't something that I've tried personally, but I thought I'd read it out, because if anyone else has any suggestions, make sure to drop it in the chat box below. And also, we're experimenting with some new forms of marketing so that we can share the results with you guys. So we are going to be creating more content on some external forms of advertising, such as Facebook and Instagram and so forth. And yeah, stay tuned for that one, and we'll share our results when we've conducted some of those experiments. All right. All right, so let's see. I'm just going through these questions. Looks like we've got a really active chat box, so I appreciate that, guys. Right. Okay, what's this? So there's a question from Laura that says, just wondering if we have a brand idea and name selected for that brand, is there a place we need to check to see if the name has been chosen or selected by someone else already? This, this is a good question. I mean, some easy ways to check this is to go, just to search for the domain. Has the domain been taken? Because generally, if you want a brand name, it's a good idea to own the domain as well. You can go to, I think it's, USPTO, basically the government website for trademarks. I'd check that one. I can't remember the exact URL, but you can check that one and do a quick search there. So I guess those are a couple of things that come to mind immediately. You can just Google that name as well and see whether any websites or, Facebook pages or any other sort of websites come up or results come up for the name that you're thinking of. To be clear though, if you're doing this for the purposes of, setting up a company or registering a trademark in order to get brand registry, the absolute best way is to go to a lawyer and get professional advice and get them to help you check and make sure that you're not picking a name that infringes on someone else's. That's really the best way to go about it. But the couple of ways that I mentioned are some just quick and easy, scrappy ways to get a bit of an idea, at least to do that first round of checks. And then, if it sort of passes those tests and there's nothing that you can see, then, you might still want to go to a lawyer or someone. It's up to you at that point whether you want to be absolutely safe. When it comes to selecting brand names, a resource that I've tried out, which is really cool, is a website called namemesh.com. There's a few others very similar, but if you go to namemesh.com, you put in the name of an item or a couple of items, and essentially it just gives you a whole bunch of ideas where it kind of mixes those names together and gives you all these different variations, and it's just an ideas generator for brand names. And then it even tells you if domains are available for that name. So that's like another little tip if you're trying to come up with a brand name and you don't have any ideas. All right. Let's see. Going through all the questions. Big shout out to the Jungle Scout team in there at the moment answering lots of questions for me. So I'm trying to go down through the older ones. But let me see. I'm going to go back to the top. All right. Cool. Laura says that's what I thought, to go to GoDaddy and check if the name is already there. Cool. Absolutely. All right, so here's a story from Hugo. Hi Lenny, thanks for everything. And everybody at Jungle Scout, I launched a product 3 months ago. I started with the giveaways and my PPC campaign. It was great until I was hijacker, and then I'm in suspense because I don't know what happened next. After that, sales went down. Went down the hole, tried a bunch of stuff. The price kept on going down. I managed to stop the hijacker, but now the product is almost a 5, not as hot. Amazon wants me to move my inventory. Cool, so, and then following up, what would you guys do? So, it's kind of, I guess it's hard to answer specifically for you, but I guess what I'll try and do is give some general advice when it comes to hijackers. It's definitely harder once it has happened, but I guess what I can share now is more preventatory type measures. Really, it can be, the truth is it's hard to stop hijackers 100% of the time. Really, the best thing to do is just to make it as hard as possible for them to copy your listing, okay? That really starts with differentiating your product, which is something that's really important in an Amazon business today anyway. As there is more growing competition, you really need to make sure when you launch a product that it is quite differentiated from your competitors, okay? Then, a lot of hijackers are usually they're looking for easy wins generally. They want to find products that are easy to copy. So you want to make it as hard for them as possible. So this is by, bundling something with your product, modifying a generic item so that it's made of a different material or better material and so forth. And again, this is more so solving a customer's problem and making it a better product anyway. You can customize the packaging as well. It seems that brand registry seems to be a great path, as that gives you some level of protection as well against hijackers. Amazon's got a new program that is going to essentially, for people that are brand registered, they'll be able to essentially, I believe, kind of kick off hijackers themselves. So thinking long-term and planning to become brand registered is a really good idea, as that will give you a lot more control over your listing and your brand and make it harder for people to hijack. So those are kind of a couple of recommendations at the start. The things that have always seemed to work when in a case where you have been hijacked is kind of the scary get off my listing letter. We do have a template on the Jungle Scout blog that you can search for, where essentially you can send kind of a cease and desist letter to the person that's on your listing selling a counterfeit product. And essentially that's just kind of a scary, like, get off my listing or else kind of letter. It's, from a legal perspective, it probably doesn't hold much weight, but 9 times out of 10, we found that actually scares people to kind of jump off your listing if they know that they're doing the wrong thing. They're selling kind of a counterfeit. So quite often that can work. Then the next step is, if that doesn't get rid of them, what Amazon asks you to do is essentially like purchasing one of their products, and then you can take photos of it and then take photos of yours and then send that into Amazon, and essentially sending them evidence that this other person's product is a counterfeit versus the legitimate one. So that's kind of the next steps there. Hopefully that helps, but I do sympathize with you, because I know it can be a problem, and I know it's a real pain when it does happen, but all the best with getting that sorted. All right. Okay, so John has a question. Any product search tips that you can share? What do you want to know, John? If you have it, let me know if you've got any specific challenges with product research. This applies to anyone. If you have any specific questions that I can help you out with, I'll do my best. Yeah, I don't have any specific tips as of yet, but if you can jog my memory with something in particular, I'll do my best. Let's see. All right. Storage. All right. So we'll see what this question is. From Jeff, if we list internationally besides VAT, are there different costs for storage? And do we need to ship to those centers before listing? Cool, great question, Jeff. I don't have lots of experience with international markets outside of the US, but I do know that the costs do differ. For instance, we're selling a product in the EU, Jungle Slumber sleeping bags, and we recently got hit with some long-term storage fees. And one thing that I noted was that the time period for the long-term storage fees was quite different. I think it was 6 months versus in the US, it's 365 days or 1 year. So I definitely know that the costs do differ. I don't know what they are specifically, but I definitely kind of look that up within that relevant marketplace that you're selling in. And your other part of the question, do we need to ship to those centers before listing? No, you can create your listing up front. It just won't become active until you've shipped in inventory and Amazon has received it. Okay. All right, so I haven't read this question yet. So MD says, I have 2 variations and when my product will be launched, is it possible to edit in the middle to update image and weight of the box? And also I want to add some free gift on that product. Is that possible? I might need a little bit more information. So you're asking if you can update the image and the weight of the box. You can absolutely update your images at any time. And you're asking if you can update the weight of the box. I'm curious as to why that would change. So when you do set up variations, if one weighs more than the other, essentially with variations, they have their own individual listing. So one can weigh, 5 pounds and another can weigh 10 pounds. So you can edit your individual variations so that they reflect the accurate weight, so that there shouldn't be any need to change the weight. But yeah, if you can clarify what you're asking here, that'd be awesome. And also I want to add some free gift on that product. Is that possible? Yeah, absolutely. You can, essentially that's just bundling an extra item into the packaging with that product. So that's definitely possible. All right. Okay, so I've got Jamie who's asking, how often do you live stream? I'm streaming live every single Thursday. So every Thursday at the same time, you can join me here to ask any questions that you might have. Okay. Okay, so Tesla asks, I have lost my buy box due to price increasing. What should I do? I am the only seller on that listing. Okay, I'm curious as to what's happened there, because then who owns the buy box if you're the only seller on that listing? And it's my listing. Yeah, that's strange. You should be able to increase your price. I guess I'd ask how significantly did you increase your price? I'd love to hear a little bit more information there. Okay, All right, so Andrew says, I have one Jungle Scout account and I've found that my wife and I can't use Jungle Scout at the same time. Is there a way around this besides getting 2 accounts? Yes, in fact there is. You can go into your settings inside of Jungle Scout and you can actually add multiple users in there. So definitely go into the back end and check out the options that you have there. That might make it a little bit easier for you. All right. Okay, so I did talk about this earlier, but I'll quickly recap. This is a question from Lifestyle and Natural Health. What is the best way to receive reviews to a new product nowadays? Okay, so I did talk about this earlier, so I'll just briefly recap. At the end of the day, in order to get reviews, you need lots and lots of sales. However many sales you get, a small percentage of those will leave reviews. So it really is a game of numbers. You just need to keep getting sales, okay? And so ways that you can do that, promotional giveaways, running PPC, you can run Amazon coupons is another way that you can get sales. You can also be, asking for honest reviews within insert cards inside of your product. That's kind of like another kind of way to do it. So those are some ideas of things that I often do when trying to get reviews, and having email campaigns running to all of your customers. All right. Okay, so Michael Eddy says, how much inventory should I send to FBA at a time? I have about 4 months of inventory coming from China. Should send it all to Amazon to save from having to ship from a local warehouse. This is a great question, Michael. Inventory management can be really tricky. And just to give you a little bit of a spoiler, we may have a tool and a webinar coming up on this very topic very, very soon. So stay tuned for that in the next coming weeks. But yeah, when it comes to how much inventory should I send to FBA at a time, what I would actually recommend is if you go onto our YouTube channel and go to, I think it's season 2 of the $1 Million Case Study. I think it's season 2, episode 20. Around about there, we've got a great interview with Jeremy Byron, who's actually on the Jungle Scout team now as a product manager, and he actually breaks down a lot of inventory management strategies. And that's really fascinating because there's lots of ways to look at it, right? So one train of thought is, the more you order at once, the better price you're going to get on the units, the better shipping costs you're going to get by ordering and doing it in bulk. The flip side of that is now, Amazon has long-term storage fees and all sorts of storage fees, so you don't want it to be sitting at Amazon for too long because then you're gonna rack up all of these fees. The other way to look at it is that if you spend a huge amount of money all at once, you're tying up a lot of cash in that inventory, and cash flow is vital to any business, really. So if you've tied up, 4 months worth of cash flow, that may limit your options, for where you could be using that cash elsewhere, whether you want to be putting it into PPC or whatever, or other products that you might have. So really what you need to do is find the best balance of kind of what's the most I can order that, saves me money on product and shipping, but without costing me too much in storage fees and so forth. So I won't go too much into that one. The webinar that I recommended, $1 Million Case Study Season 2, on inventory management, that has some really great strategies in terms of how to do some calculations. What am I thinking? Definitely check that one out. We are going to be bringing, I was about to kind of give it away, but we may be bringing some tools to help you out with that inside of Jungle Scout. So again, yeah, stay tuned for that one, but check out this $1 Million Case Study episode in the meantime. But there's a great question. I think inventory management is something that doesn't get talked about enough, and it's very important for your business. So I'm glad you asked. Let's see. Okay. Oh, great. So there's a follow-up from MD here who says, I already ordered product from China and it's maybe active within 10 days now. I changed my mind to add some gift item and add with this variation, which will increase the existing weight. So is it possible? I guess, has the product left China yet? Or are you, has it arrived in the US and it's at your house? Or, I guess the first challenge is you need to be able to physically get the gift item or the add-on added into your product before you send it into Amazon. If it's on the way to Amazon and, you can't stop it, then that would be tricky because essentially you're gonna have to wait till it arrives in Amazon and then do a removal order to take it out, which is a little bit messy. So if it hasn't left China, or if you've got your hands on it, or you've got the ability to add the gift item into the product packaging and so forth before any of this inventory hits your listing, then yes, you can update your listing to change the weight so that when the product arrives, the product weight matches what's on the listing. So as long as you can have that updated before the product arrives, that should be fine. The other way to go about it is, I think you mentioned a variation. So creating a variation is the other way. let's say you've already sent your product to Amazon, that's already going to arrive, but this is the standalone product. You could create a variation on that listing, perhaps that has this extra add-on on that, and then you could send in a new shipment with that gift item. So hopefully one of those ideas helps you out. Okay. Jamie says, do you hire an inspector to inspect your products? I have only recently started doing this. To be honest, I went a couple of years without ever doing it. And, as you'd expect, I ended up having product problems, and that's when I decided I probably should do, product inspections. It is difficult when you're first starting out because you're trying to maximize profitability and you don't want to spend that extra money. But, the further I get into this, the more I do believe that it is very important, and ideally what you should do is just build the cost of a product inspection into your product cost. If it costs $5 for your product, if you work out, a product inspection might be $200 or $300. If you put that across 500 or like 1,000 units or something, it doesn't work out to be that much, whatever it is, 30, 40 cents or something like that. And then just build that into your product cost. So now it costs you $5.30 or something like that. It's a better long-term play so that you always know that your product is really good. Because if you do have, a substandard product that hits the market, that can be a real nightmare. You start getting negative reviews, Amazon will suspend your listing, you've got to pull all of that inventory out, you've got to deal with going back to your supplier and hoping that they'll take accountability for the problem. It can be a real nightmare. So you really should. I do think it's a good idea. Or if you're not going to do it every time, I would certainly recommend doing it, every other time or every few shipments. I'd definitely do it with my first shipment, and then I'd encourage you to do it every time or at least every few shipments, or as often as it's possible. Okay. So Rob is saying that I sent my supplier my insert card that I got from the Jungle Market, and they said they loved it. That's awesome. And that's awesome to hear that you used the Jungle Scout Market to get that one created. So for those of you that don't know, the Jungle Scout Market is a platform that we own that brings together basically all Amazon FBA freelancers. So these are freelancers that can do anything from product research or helping you with PPC, taking product photography, helping you design logos, helping you design insert cards, anything you can think of to do with Amazon, we've got freelancers for it. And the great thing about the Jungle Scout Market is that they're all vetted by our team and they have experience with Amazon sellers, okay? So they know Amazon's requirements and so forth. But yeah, that's really great to hear, Rob, that you used a freelancer off the Jungle Market and it helped you out. So that's awesome news. Negative. All right. Okay, so we've got a comment here from Orlando from the $1 Million Case Study. He says, I've always used Kima and have always been pleased with their inspection report. Yeah, cool. Actually, I think, I'm trying to remember, well, we do actually have a video on YouTube on inspection reports, and inside of that video, you'll get to see some snapshots of what to expect inside of this report. Again, it's really, really thorough, so I highly recommend checking them out. All right. All right, so Jamie says, if I have any further questions or need guidance, who can I reach out to? Well, you can come back and join me here next Thursday if you would like. Otherwise, if you're a Jungle Scout member, we've got the Academy, which is really an all-in-one educational resource. So in there, we've got tutorials for all of our tools, all of the products inside of Jungle Scout. We're also building out a Amazon course within there, an A to Z course that covers everything from product research to sourcing and shipping and getting your product into Amazon. We're going to be adding modules on PPC and managing your business. So we're really building out an all-in-one Amazon course within Jungle Scout. So this is included completely within your Jungle Scout membership. So that's another great place to utilize. There's also our YouTube channel. I recommend going through our videos there, particularly the $1 Million Case Study series. We cover everything really from A to Z there as well. So those are some great resources. Otherwise, you can reach out to us within Jungle Scout. There's in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got like a little help widget. And that also allows you to reach out to our customer support at support@junglescout.com. So hopefully one of those ways can help you out if you do need any further assistance. All right. Here's a great question from Creative Corner. Any advice on how to overcome the fear of failing? This is a really great one because when it comes down to any business or any sort of opportunity, a lot of it is a mental game. It's like, you always need the tools and the education. That's something that I often say. And that's what we provide for you guys here at Jungle Scout, is that we're giving you all the tools and we're giving you all the education so that you've got the steps. But there really is this other factor as well. It's like you could have all the education in the world, but there is a mental component to it, right? Like, and I experienced this recently, in fact, when looking to launch another product in my own Amazon business. I've been talking about Amazon and selling on Amazon for a few years now, and I find it very easy to tell people to you just need to push past the fear. But at the same time, I've had experience doing that. But an interesting thing happened to me when I was doing product research a little while back and looking to start selling another product. I then was looking at the numbers all looked good. But then I looked at the price that I had to pay for this order, and this surprising thing happened. I was overcome with fear. Because you're dropping a cut $2,000 or $3,000, like it's a big chunk of money, and I've done this before. The numbers look good, everything makes sense on paper, but it was funny that I hadn't experienced that fear in a while, and I can totally understand, especially if you're a beginner, that it is really hard to press the go button. And so, what advice can I give you? I don't know if I've got any other advice other than to just take action and do it. Usually it's the build up to that moment that's really scary. Of course, saying that you do, need to do your due diligence, make sure that the product research and the numbers add up and that it all makes sense and that you're stacking the odds the most that they can be in your favor. But then it's just a matter of just taking action and doing it. Perhaps try to think about the reason why you're doing it as well, okay? Lots of people are doing it because they're wanting to, maybe they're just trying to supplement their income, or maybe they're not happy in the job that they're doing now and they're chasing that life of freedom where they control their own time and they're not constrained by, money and finances. So I guess try to think about why it is that you're doing this in the first place, and hopefully that will get you past that hurdle, okay? Because what I believe is worse than failing, even if you do fail per se, is not taking action and having that regret. You don't want to look back and say, I always wanted to sell on Amazon, or I wanted to start a business, but you're still doing the same sucky job that you don't enjoy and nothing has really changed. There's really no downside to trying things, right? I mean, even if that first product doesn't work out, you're gonna learn so much from it. You're gonna gain so much experience and you're gonna do a much better job next time. Everyone that's ever been successful has usually had a lot of failure all along the way. And that's just learning one way that doesn't work, okay? You just need to keep trying. Hopefully something in there helps you out, but I do sympathize with you and I know that everyone experiences the same thing. So you're not alone if that helps you out. All right, let's see. Okay, so Jamie's asking an interesting question. Do you suggest to start with Amazon FBA or drop shipping? To be honest, we're definitely more biased towards Amazon FBA from the reasoning that it is, if you're selling on the Amazon platform, if you're drop shipping, I believe you'd need to do that through Fulfilled by Merchant, but doing it through FBA, that opens you up to prime customers. I can't remember what the numbers are, but a huge percentage of people shop on Amazon because they want, because they're Prime members and they want that quick 2-day shipping. There are certain ways to you can obviously automate drop shipping to a degree, but from what we've found from talking to a lot of people, it is generally simpler. Kind of to manage an Amazon FBA business. There are lots of people that absolutely love drop shipping, but I guess we've got the most experience with Amazon FBA and we've found a lot of success with it. Danny's saying, giving me those warm, fuzzy feelings, Lenny. You're welcome. So I won't go on any more rants, guys, but I will see if you have any other questions that haven't already been answered. Let's see. Can I? Okay, can I have, where is it? Can I have the suppliers create a logo without having an LLC? Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely create a logo and kind of a brand name and logo without having an LLC for it. Yeah, you can definitely do that. The main reason, well, an LLC is probably more for your business structure. If you are thinking about a trademark, for instance, the only reason you would need a trademark, or the main reason people want trademarks, is to be able to apply for Amazon brand registry, which gives them all of these additional options within their Amazon business. But essentially, you don't need an LLC, you don't need a trademark to sell on Amazon. You can just come up with a brand name, create a logo for it, and so forth. I would recommend trying to make sure that you can capture the domain and, long-term get a trademark for it and so forth, but you don't need those things to get started. All right, so Rob asks, can you remember what video it is that you show the contract you send your supplier when ordering? I keep looking, but I can't find it. Great question. I can't remember offhand, but it's, if you go to $1 Million Case Study Season 4, actually we'd also show it in Season 3 and Season 2, but I'd go to Season 4. It will be one of the earlier episodes when the title will be something around supplier outreach. So it'd be somewhere maybe like 3, 4, 5, one of those episodes. But another great way to do it is to go to the Jungle Scout website and go to resources. You can go to the $1 Million Case Study and find the relevant blog post, because it's actually embedded, I believe, as an image there. And you can, I think you can either copy the text or you can download the template. But that's probably an easier way if you're just looking to kind of get that, that template. Let's see. Oh, the contract you send your supplier. Yeah, I think probably a blog post might be the better way, but I'll see if I can find that after this, or someone else in Jungle Scout can find it and they'll drop it in the comments. All right. Okay, so the question is, how could I get started PPC again after out of budget? Essentially, just wait for the next day, your budget will reset, or you can increase your budget so that you can continue to spend. All right. Let's see. Looks like, I love the fact that it looks like the chat box is very lively. Everyone's kind of helping each other out there, which is awesome. All right, I'll see if I can find one more question. Let's see. What, is there a new question that's coming up? Okay, all right, so this question is from, whoops, where's it going? Great work. My question is exactly which barcode do I need on the packaging? So the barcode that you need is called the FN SKU. I know it can be, barcodes can be a little tricky because when you're creating a listing, you need what's called like a UPC or EAN barcode. Okay, so you do need to purchase a UPC barcode. There are some exceptions to that, but for the most part, if you're creating a brand new listing, you need that one and you need to purchase that. You can buy them third party from different third party vendors. You can just type in, purchase UPC barcodes. Amazon has said that they are stamping those out. Some people still use them, some people don't. But the most official way to get them is from a place called gs1.org. It does cost a little bit more, but it's the place to be the safest if you're purchasing UPC barcodes. Now, keep in mind that is just to create your listing. Pretty much once you've created your listing, you can more or less forget about the UPC barcode. Once you've created your listing, Amazon will assign a new barcode called an FN SKU. And the way that you view that is that you go to Inventory, Manage Inventory, where you see all of your listings. You click on the little drop-down menu next to your listing and go to Edit. Oh no, sorry. I think it's like Print Label, and you can view a little PDF that has your FN SKU barcode. So that is the only barcode that you need on your product packaging. That's the one that Amazon will get, and they'll scan that to link that product to your listing. So the FN SKU barcode is what you need. You can either get that stuck on as a sticker, or what we also talk about is if you're doing customized packaging, you can get it printed onto your packaging directly, okay? Alrighty. So I'm gonna wrap it up there today, guys. I really appreciate all the questions and all you guys being very, chatty and asking lots of questions, helping each other out. I love the kind of community that we can create around this thing that we're all doing and sharing and learning from each other. That is super, super awesome. Thanks again for joining me today. Remember, Ask Jungle Scout comes every single week. I'm gonna be live again next Thursday. Hope to see you there. Make sure to check out Greg's new launch webinar next Tuesday, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.